everybody, today I would like to talk to you about something that is personally very important to me, and that is the environment. One of the things that most people are aware of that you can do to, improve the environment, make it a better place to live for everybody, is reduce, reuse, recycle. You all know the symbol. If you don't, symbol. It's just something that people are very aware of, and especially now, a lot of people recycle things in their homes, and that is great. However, you can be doing more within that, because as it turns out, recycling is actually the least important. Not that you shouldn't recycle, but there are other things that you can do that are more helpful than recycling. Always recycle when you can, but reduce and reuse are first in the order for a reason. So today I would like to talk to you about why they're in that order and why that matters and how you can make the world a nicer place to live for future generations. Number one is reduce. The number one thing you should be doing is reducing your use of wasteful materials. In this case, that's usually plastic. So, how can you do that? Instead of getting plastic things, you could get ones that are made out of metal or made out of glass. One of the main reasons that metal water bottles are like such a big thing is the fact that they reduce the amount of plastic you're using. And that's awesome, you know? If you can get a metal water bottle, that is great. Tupperware containers try to do like the glass Tupperwares instead of the plastic Tupperwares. Things like if you're going to a grocery store and you are buying bread, don't get bread that is like wrapped in 2 layers of plastic. Get bread that's wrapped in 1 layer of plastic. Or get like a bread that is like the French bread that gets wrapped in like paper, because that reduces the amount of plastic that is put into processing and therefore reduces the amount that is being put back out into the world and, microplastics in food and like poisoning our bloodstream and stuff. Humans are very resilient, but I prefer not to have plastic in my bloodstream. There's a couple of ways that you can just cut down on the amount of plastic and the amount of waste that you are using in the world. But if you can't reduce the amount of plastic you're using, then at least you can reuse it. So let's say you have a plastic reusable water bottle, right? Plastic reusable water bottles exist. They're still plastic, which is unfortunate, but at least you can reuse them. Or things like, oh, you bought a bottle of like Dasani water or something like that, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not just gonna throw this away. I'm at the theme park for the day and I bought a water because I forgot to bring mine from home. It's in a plastic water bottle. Instead of throwing it away, I'm just going to reuse that for water for the rest of the day, at least. Or let's say you have the plastic Tupperware containers. Those are reusable. You're not throwing them away after a single use, and that is good. Reuse is probably some of the hardest things to do because a lot of the time, especially with single-use plastic being a big majority of the plastic that exists, it's very difficult to reuse the plastic, but there are ways. For example, put a picture up here of like the ice cream I'm referencing. There's this brand of ice cream and they come in these like clear plastic containers. My girlfriend collected these plastic containers of this ice cream so that she could use them to aesthetically store things for later. That is a way of reusing objects. If you have things like small travel-sized containers of things and they run out, don't throw them away. Use them, like keep them, wash them out, and then you can put something else in them. Like don't buy a new travel-sized container. Like just get your shampoo, right? And pour it into the little travel-sized container. I've done that before. There are like literally little containers that you can buy to put them in, but why buy new containers? You can save money by using an old little container. I don't know if that's a good example or a useful example. I think it's kind of useful, but I don't know if other people think that's useful. But that's a great way of, reusing some plastic. If you have to get plastic so you can't reduce and you can't reuse it, that's when you recycle. Of course, recycling is very important, but saying that it's the only thing that matters isn't going to be very helpful. There are a lot of places that just don't have recycling plants because they don't have people to work them. So the people from places like that, they simply don't recycle. So reducing and reusing is probably the best way to get that started. Recycling plants are very hard to run. They're just generally frustrating and difficult, and sometimes people put things in the recycling that contaminates all of the recycling. So when you're recycling, because I know that more people are likely to recycle than to reduce or reuse, which once again, get on that because that is actually more helpful than recycling, although recycling is good. You can help not contaminate recycling things by washing out and drying the things that you want to recycle. Things like yogurt cartons or, I don't know, like your honey bear or whatever. Another thing to look for while recycling is the fact that not all recycling plants take the same amount of recycling. To see if something is recycling, you look for the little recycling symbol. A lot of the times, in the middle of the little recycling symbol, there's going to be a number. This number, I think, can range from like 1 to 7. And you're not going to see things a lot higher than a 5, because usually once it passes a 5, there's very rarely 6 and 7s, because after that, it's just like single-use, non-recyclable plastic, which is very upsetting. Because, like, if I'm gonna have to use plastic, I would definitely prefer it to be recyclable. You're gonna see that little number in the middle. You're gonna find a lot of like harder, thicker plastics that you're like, this has good reusable potential, right? Those are gonna have the 1 a lot of the time. And almost all recycling plants take numbers 1 through 3. A lot of them take numbers 1 through 5. Very few of them take numbers 1 through 7. What you're going to do is, in order not to mess up with the recycling, you're going to make sure that it's clean, you're going to make sure that it's dry, and that will help greatly with non-contamination, and you're going to make sure that it can actually be recycled in your recycling plant. So you can do that by, a lot of the times it says it on local dumpsters. You can look that up on the internet, which will probably have some good information about what your city requires for recycling. Or it might even be on the trash can that your dump trucks pick up to take to the plant. So that's the general gist of things. Basically, the point of this video is remember to use less plastic. If you can, that's great. I know that a lot of things are made with plastic. It's a cheap material, it's easy to use, and it's kind of unavoidable. But if you can reduce the amount of plastic you use, that's awesome, right? Paper bags instead of plastic bags, grocery store. Even better, reusable bags, right? Like reusable fabric bags. Like those are awesome. They're not going to break as much as paper bags, and they have more uses. Gotta love reusable fabric bags. Oh my god, they're so good. And they can come in like cool patterns, or like you can use a tote bag to do your groceries. Have you ever thought of that? And then, you know, if you can't reduce, you reuse. Obviously, still try to reduce. That's very important. Reduce the amount of plastic you use, therefore less plastic items will be put out there in the world, hopefully. Next, reuse those stuff. Like if you buy that plastic grocery store bag, use it for like your trash bag, you know, your regular trash bag, not your recycling, because trash bags usually aren't recyclable. Fun fact. And then if you can't reduce or reuse that plastic item, recycle it. Remember, a lot of things other than plastic are recyclable. Things like paper, as long as it's not wet or contaminated or anything like that at the point of recycling. Paper is also compostable, so that's another great thing. Cardboard is recyclable. Keep those in mind as well. But you know, when using plastic, remember to check what plastic is recyclable in your area and incorporate recycling into your life if you can. Incorporate all of these into your life if you can, and if you haven't already. Thanks for giving me the moment to talk to you all about something that I've known about since I was a rather small child, because I went to a pretty weird school. As a result, I didn't realize that this wasn't common knowledge for a lot of people. So I figured I might as well just spread the word a little bit. I know that I have a very small audience, and this is not going to get a very big reach, but if this is new and if you know, you want to do a little bit more for the environment and help. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support. Have a wonderful day.